Am I the asshole for unplugging the internet when my boyfriend was playing a game? I had cooked dinner for my boyfriend, and I had called him several times. He didn't respond, so I was like, what the hell? And went to find him and bring his dinner to him. He was playing Call of Duty or Halo and said that he didn't hear me. I was like, alright, here's your dinner, and then I handed it to him, and he just looked at it and said that I didn't want mac and cheese, I said chicken nuggets and fries. I said sorry, but if you'd listened when I got back, you would have heard that the stores were all out of nuggets. He then threw the plate with the food on it at a set of drawers. I said, seriously? What's wrong with you? And he just said that he was annoyed because I just made him die in the game by distracting him, and he was already mad about having mac and cheese. I said, if that's going to make you angry, you shouldn't be playing while eating. He just said whatever and carried on playing, so I went downstairs and turned the router off while I ate. He came storming down, asking me what the hell I had done. I said, if you can't listen to me, you shouldn't be playing games when I'm trying to do stuff. He said I can't turn off the internet because he pays for it, so I said he just wasted food. He says I should have just told him they were out of nuggets and waited for him to be done on the game instead of turning it off. I think he was being unreasonable, especially after he threw the plate, but his mom and my mom are siding with him. They say that I shouldn't have turned off the internet, and I'm thinking they're completely missing the point. So was I wrong to do that, or should I have done something different? In the comments, everyone sucks here. I'm not allowed to call somebody a child on this sub, but you were both equally acting childish and need to work it out. OP replies, I don't see what I was supposed to do because I had told him the store was out of food and he didn't listen, and then he threw and broke a plate of food, wasting it, that I had cooked, and he just went back to the game. X-Stoned Cat replies, he broke a plate over not getting his chicky nuggies. I mean, it's bad enough to break a plate, but over nuggets versus mac and cheese? This is literally what a child would have a tantrum about. What were you supposed to do? Pack your stuff and move out, maybe? Tell him to stop acting like a toddler? If he was mad enough to break a plate over your dinner choice, what in the world did you think he would do when you unplugged the router? What exactly were you hoping it would accomplish? Jeepers Creepers 74 says, everyone sucks here. You eat like 5-year-olds, you fight like siblings, and then you run off and tell your respective mums? Grow up. OP replies, he told our mums first. They both messaged me and asked why I did it, so I tried to explain, and they were taking his side. Jeepers Creepers replies, to be fair, he has a lot more growing up to do than you, which begs the question, are you bringing him up, or is he bringing you down? And John Draper says, everyone sucks here. Your son is being pretty immature and volatile, but as your mother, you're responsible for responding calmly and in a mature fashion so that he learns better behaviors. Yeah, OP, you and your son there, you might fight from time to time, but these things happen. He'll grow up one day, I promise. He'll stop breaking the chicky nuggy plates. He might even respect you somewhat if you're very lucky, but maybe your son needs a little bit of time out for a few years to be by himself. And you can be by yourself as well, so that you both can mature independent of each other. I think that would probably be the best way to go about this situation. Everyone sucks here. And now, onto the update, 4 days later. Thank you to everyone that helped me see that what he did was really not right. I had wondered why my mum and his would side with him too, and after speaking with my mum, I found out that he had been bad-mouthing me before this and had told her a different story to what really happened. He told her that he had been at work all day and got home, and I was instantly aggressive and turned the internet off and said no games or food. I don't know why she would believe that, but whatever. He had been playing the game for 8 hours straight that day up to that point. Anyway, I left him and moved back with my mum for now, and I'm in the process of moving all of my belongings, but I have the most important stuff. He's been texting me, begging me to come back because he misses me, and also because he can't cook. I saw McDonald's wrappers all over the floor when I went to get some of my clothes. He also posted a video to Facebook of his crying, saying I took everything and that I'm a bitch. His mum is still siding with him and she's been harassing me in messages for abusing her son. She says how dare I leave him. First, she tried to guilt trip me by saying how he will clean and cook for himself, and when that didn't work, she started threatening and sending abusive messages. I feel much better though. I didn't realize how much of a strain he had put upon me. So once again, thank you to everyone that helped me out. In the comments, Twins fan is like, this seriously sounds like someone asking for advice with their child. I mean, a temper tantrum about chicken nuggets in a video game? Boo-hoo, he didn't get his nuggies. I bet he's the kind of guy to leave skid marks in his underwear, cause wiping his butt is too hard. How men like that ever find themselves a partner is beyond understanding. His mom is just as bad. She's who to blame here. She probably pampered her little prince all of his life until she was ready to palm him off to the first woman who would take over the care of her little baby boy. Warning to his new girl, never forget baby's nuggies. Yeah, good luck to whoever he has to be with next, because if anyone is ever able to put up with him, I guess like up until the point of marriage, it's going to be another one of those stories where the mum gets really defensive and gets like offended that someone would try to take her poor little baby off of her hands because, I don't know, weird dynamic, isn't it? I'm just glad that I'm never ever close to any people like this, so thank God you got out of there, OP. Thank you for the story. Very much appreciated. Our next post is by user Feisty8799, titled, "He has a ring, and I found out that he's planning to propose on our anniversary, but I feel like I've mentally checked out 1.5 years after he first told me that we were going to get engaged soon." So my partner brought the ring a long time ago. He previously insisted that we had to live together to see if we were compatible before he could propose, and that he wouldn't propose otherwise. I have been ready for much longer than he has, and that's not his fault, of course. But after waiting and waiting, I've gone from anxiety to hope to excitement, and finally just numbness. He didn't intend for me to know, but my sister, who helped him finalize the ring out of the ones that I'd liked, was happy about it and couldn't keep the secret that he's proposing in just under a week. It makes sense now that he's trying to get me to take a couple of days off to go away for a mini break to the town in which we met, but I couldn't get leave approved. She noticed that I've been feeling quite low throughout the holiday season, and she thought that it was because I was waiting for a proposal, but the reality is that I gave up on it a month or two ago. I tried to convince myself that it's what I still want, but that ship has sailed. It's quite strange to be in the process of falling out of love with him gradually. He's 29, and I'm about to turn 29 myself. I fear that I'm being irrational here because in total, we've been together for only 3 years. But he's been telling me for 1.5 years that he will soon propose. I feel compelled to say yes now because everything is in place, but I don't feel in love with him anymore. He seems happy to talk about marriage now, and has brought up marrying in autumn a bunch of times, and I wish I still felt the same joy at discussing wedding plans that I did before. In the comments, someone says, 3 years is nothing considering you could be spending the rest of your life with this person. Be glad that you realize now. And OP replies, I've only begun feeling this way because he kept saying a proposal was coming soon and didn't propose for 1.5 years. And his insistence on living together when he knew that it was not something I was comfortable with without being engaged. Someone else asks, how long ago did OP move in with her boyfriend? Was it fine for her to live with him? OP replies, only a few months ago, and I shouldn't have done it because I was not happy to. I used to share a flat with my friend and had done so for years. The only way to live together was to move into the flat that he's been renting because he lives on his own. Big mistake doing something that didn't feel right to me at all. No, it's actually been fine living with him, but living together before engagement was really something that I didn't want to do, but he made it a condition to getting engaged after he bought the ring earlier in the year. I shouldn't have agreed to it, but I did. And that's where the resentment has come from, along with the 1.5-year wait. Another commenter says, to feel that much resentment after such a rather short time is a sign that you weren't right for each other anyway. Honestly, 3 years of dating and requesting to live with each other before marriage are totally reasonable, at your age. Objectively, you are being a bit unfair here, but if you're just not feeling it anymore, then so be it. It's better to end things now before the engagement. This is no base for a lifetime commitment. And OP, downvoted, replies, I don't think feeling resentment after waiting for 1.5 years is soon at all. He said he would propose soon, and soon is not more than a few months. Certainly not over a year. He should have been honest that he wasn't ready instead of dragging this for 1.5 years. OP is blaming her boyfriend for her choices, and she needs to communicate with her boyfriend about the issue. OP says, I don't believe that I am, especially as he wasn't communicating clearly with me on the issue until a few months ago. Sometimes you do things that you feel will work out fine, but you don't realize until later how they will make you feel. I felt pushed into making that decision because of the various conversations that we had earlier this year, in which he shared things that he would have done a long time ago. And a third commenter has 2 questions. 1. Numbness aside, do you want to marry him? Like, take away all of the pump and circumference and the emotional politics around it. Do you want him to be your life partner? OP replies, there was a time until recently when I really wanted him to be my life partner, and I thought that we were a good match, but not anymore. And the second question is, what the fuck is up with your sister? Why did she spill the beans? I get it if she knew that you were checking out and you felt that you needed a heads up, but if she didn't know that, and it doesn't sound like she did, what she did isn't okay. Anyway, it's normal to be almost a little blue when getting engaged later than you wanted. It doesn't mean this won't work, unless you don't want it to. It could mean that you just need to have a good, healthy fight, that you air out all of your frustration that he has held you hostage on this for so long. And OP replies to that, she was mistaken and thought that I had been feeling low because he hadn't proposed. So she was trying to cheer me up, thinking that I would be thrilled. He told her he had everything planned and ready for a proposal on our anniversary, so she thought that I would be happy. I'm just getting the vibe that you're done, and you're looking for permission to end this relationship. Like, I get why you're upset, and absolutely you're more than welcome to feel that way. But at this point, why have you been holding on to it for so long? And why haven't you just taken action on it? That's what I don't understand. It's obvious that you two are not compatible, at least from your side of things. It seems like he's cool with it. You obviously both weren't able to compromise on what you both wanted in climbing the relationship's ladder. That just means that you two were fundamentally incompatible, and it's okay to cut ties. It's okay to break up with him now and start fresh. Just don't keep dragging him into a false promise. Please, God, just break up. And now, onto the update, 3 days later. In the middle of 2023, he said he was proposing soon, but a year later, he still hadn't, and finally admitted that he wouldn't until we lived together, even though he had bought a ring. This was despite me asking him a couple of times what was holding things up, and he always assured me that it would happen soon. After he finally shared this with me, he kept insisting I move in, even though I wasn't interested in that before an engagement, but I did because of how much I loved him, and the resentment had been slowly building up ever since. I know it's my fault for moving in, and I should have been firmer about my boundaries. He knew from very early on that I didn't want to set up a household or home with a partner without an engagement. Early in the relationship, like 8 to 9 months in, he wanted to move in, but I told him that I wouldn't do that with someone unless I was going to marry the person and was engaged. He said at the time that that was okay and that he understood. So why did he say that he was going to propose soon last year, knowing where we stood on this matter? Well, knowing he was going to propose and realizing I didn't want to marry him anymore, I told him on Saturday night that we couldn't be together anymore. He didn't take it well. He told me that I had blindsided him and that he thought that we both wanted a future together. He initially said that he didn't know what he did wrong, and I had to explain to him that he knew that we had issues regarding him always having his way and him knowing I was uncomfortable about moving in before an engagement. The truth is, whenever we disagree, I always end up giving in. He doesn't compromise and isn't very flexible. I've pointed this out to him before, and he accepted that it was an issue, yet nothing changed. Now that I'm ending things, he's saying he'll work on it, and it's not something to break up over. We could probably work through the resentment and improve our communication, but I don't know if I'll ever feel the same way about him again. Also, given that he kept saying he was proposing soon, but waited for 18 months, I worry that he might again drag his feet when it comes to other things like having kids, or even with planning the wedding. He woke up this morning, the 31st, the day that he was planning to propose on as it's our anniversary, and said he couldn't believe what was happening. He said it didn't feel real because we should be getting engaged today, but instead, we were in the process of breaking up. He even asked at one point if we could try again, saying our relationship had been happy for both of us and that living together, we had been very compatible, irrespective of how I felt about moving in. He asked if I would consider giving the relationship another chance if we took a break from each other for some time, but again, I don't think this is a good idea. The days since I ended the relationship have been really tough, but it was the right thing to do because we are incompatible. People in my previous post mentioned that I just wanted to marry and get engaged and didn't care who to. But that's not me. My ex, whom I was with from university, was keen to marry and brought it up soon after we started our first jobs. However, there were a range of issues in that relationship, and I didn't think that it would work. So after trying to resolve our issues and not being able to for a year, I had to end that relationship. If a marriage and engagement were all I wanted, I would have married him and ignored the issues. I genuinely thought that my current partner, well, ex now, and I were a great match, but I suppose I was wrong. I was living in a flat with a friend, and it was ideal for me in every way. I had to find someone to take over my lease, and I did this to move in with him. Now I have to start looking for a new place again. I've already started, and fortunately, I live in a city where finding a place won't be too difficult. My friend said that I shouldn't move out in a rush since I'm paying half the rent toward his place, but the reality is that this place never felt like home because I moved in begrudgingly. Again, I know it's my fault, but I can't live in what is essentially his home if we aren't going to be together. My sister said that I should think about the fact that I'm going to be 29 and about how it might be difficult to find someone to have children with before I hit my mid-30s. But it's better to be single than in a relationship that's not right. I know I might not meet anyone else anytime soon, or at all, because you never know what life is going to bring, but that's okay. There are other things in my life that I plan to focus on, like studying for a postgrad diploma that I've been wanting to do for some time. I know he'll be fine soon as he's quite resilient, and then both of us can get on with our lives. In the comments, a downvoted commenter says, in this case, his hesitancy paid off because it allowed OP to realize that they weren't compatible for reasons unrelated to proposing. He was correct not to propose. It saved a future divorce. This wasn't his intent, but the overall issue here was the OP wasn't happy with how decisions were made in the relationship, the partner was. It took years for the OP to express this. Now that she has, both can move on with their lives. In this case, the issue appears to be that she didn't communicate with him the issues that she was having. He was quite clear that he wanted to live with someone before getting married and proposed after a reasonable length of time after it occurred. It's good that she was finally able to communicate and move on. And OP says, he was not clear about this and waited a year to tell me why he wasn't proposing. And this was after earlier in the relationship when he wanted us to live together. I had told him that I wouldn't live with someone unless the relationship was going to lead to marriage and I was engaged. And he said that was fine and continued the relationship. Another commenter asks, did he need help with the bills? Why did you need to move in and pay half? OP says, he didn't need help with paying the bills, but I chose to pay as I think that's fair. I would not be comfortable with him picking up the bills for both of us when we both work. Another commenter says, he didn't fight for you. You will meet the one. You know now what you don't want, and that's a good start, and stick to your boundaries and goals. Always. OP says, he's been quite difficult since that day, particularly about me leaving and looking for somewhere to move. But I don't want him to make it any more difficult by fighting for me. I just can't wait to be out of this place. And another commenter says, He doesn't compromise and isn't very flexible. I've pointed this out to him before, and he accepted that it was an issue, yet nothing changed. You were doing the right thing. Don't fall for the trap of going back to a man who is only willing to consider changing his ways when you already have your foot out the door. He won't change, and even if he does, it will only be temporary. Guys, I hope we can all agree that it's such a good thing these two are not getting married. Thank God there's no kids involved. Thank God they haven't bought a house together. This is just one of those fights that marriage counselors hate to see coming. Because you just know that it's not going to get solved. Why get married to someone like this? You two are just going to fight all the time, and it's like obvious you shouldn't be together. So thank God you pulled the plug, OP. Oh my God. They always only change when you're leaving, when you're like, I'm gonna break up with you, you haven't been listening to me, you haven't changed, why should I ever believe you? And then they're like, actually, now I'm gonna change. It's too late, buddy, it's too late. You missed the bus. Wait for the next one. Also, I want to point out, I feel like some of this could have been avoided if she asked him what soon meant when he said the proposal was coming soon. I get that it's not particularly her fault in this situation and he was being intentionally vague, but kind of forcing that information out of your partner when they are being vague goes a long way. Regardless, thank you for the story, OP. I hope anyone listening to this cannot relate to that absolute shit show, and if you can, I'm so sorry. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to end today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!